Yo, 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 it's your friend Dinner Dog, and I saw some people wondering about save splitting recently when I popped into his stream, so I thought, why not just make this a video? Let's get into this bad boy. So in today's vid, we're going to talk about how do you perform a save split, and how long it takes to actually do it, where you want to do it, and when you don't want to do it. Now, just for clarity, I may say something like save state instead of save split, and that's just me being silly. I mix the two terms up all the time, but you're not allowed to do save states. You cannot use a save state in your emulator to warp back somewhere. That's definitely not allowed. So don't do that. And if you hear me use the wrong term, whether in this video or during a race, it's just me being silly. So let's get her here. So the reason why we want to do a save state and what we're trying to accomplish here is we're at a location right now which is close to a save room. We want to save our we want to save the game there using the game's internal save system, and then we want to go search somewhere else. And if that other place is a dud, we want to reload our save so that we warp back to where we were in the state we were in before, right? So like obviously I'm not going to get any items or relics that I picked up, but I also don't need to do any backtracking. So it can save a good amount of time. The way we perform the save split is you just after you've saved the game, of course, you just hold start and select. And you hold it for about 3 seconds. You don't also need to hold the LNR. I've heard people say that's not a thing. It's just start and select. It's not a thing with the emulator. It's how the game itself is designed, and it warps you right, or it brings you back to the title screen instead of like the Sony PlayStation logo, which would take forever, right? So, in terms of timing, to actually save the game, assuming you're right outside the save room, it takes about 11 seconds. And then to reload your save by holding start and select for 3 seconds and going through the game menu and stuff, it takes about 25. So in total, you're roughly looking about just under 40 seconds, and then probably a bit more because this 11ish seconds is if you're right outside the save room. So you got to think, is it worth it to do it? Because am I going to save 40 seconds? And then obviously you net the difference, right? So, like, if moving back was going to take a minute, then it could be worth it, or more than a minute, for instance. So, the faster you are, obviously, the less benefit you get from doing save splits. And of course, having bat with it being so fast, or in limited context, having Power of Wolf can greatly reduce its effectiveness. Lastly, you are allowed to make multiple saves by not overwriting your files in the game. That's totally allowed. You can do it as many times as you want. There are a couple times where it's useful, and I'll walk through one situation where it is, but otherwise it can be a really good time. So let's take a look at it. So let's look at the splits we definitely want to use. So the entrance split is pretty much the gold standard. Some people will check entrance by going up through the caverns, but assuming that you're not doing that, this is a really good split. Like all these rooms have zombies in them; they're gross. So it's a great place to do that, and you're usually teleporting into the entrance because you've come back later with some form of flight, and you teleport in. The save room's right there, and if you haven't checked the labs, then you're just moving on to the labs afterwards. So it's a really convenient spot to do a save split. The Next, we've got Holy Symbol, and the reverse castle, or the second castle, is also just as effective. So getting through here kind of stinks in the first castle because you got to deal with all the water, and you could die and drown. Even if you've got Holy Symbol, it can be slow. And if you've got Bat, it can be really fast, but it's a really tight movement between the ceiling and where the water is, right? Anytime you hit that water, you're going to transform again. So definitely a good place to do it. And then the same in the second castle. Although the water's on the ceiling, so you're less likely to hit it, you're still probably going to hit it unless your wing smash movement is really tight. And of course, if you don't have Bat, then it's pretty much a no-brainer to use the split. So in either castle, it's a really strong one. Silver Ring, getting there from Keep is fantastic. So yeah, like ideally you'd want to get to Silver Ring through All Rocks, and then come on up. But that's oftentimes you don't get that opportunity. So the alternative is to come from the keep, and making a save up here is fantastic. Saves you a whole bunch of backtracking, especially if there's nothing here. And alternatively, although I'm not going to outline all the situations, if you happen to find yourself in keep and you're just doing a bit of cleanup in the first castle, it can be very beneficial to make a save here and, let's say, go and check holy glasses or check the library, etc. Right? There's a whole bunch of situations where that can be beneficial in. Grand Falloon is also fantastic, and also for Galamoth is fantastic. So all this movement kind of sucks. If you've got Bat, I kind of feel like you can get to this point within 40 seconds if your movement's really clean, but that may not actually be true. I haven't timed it out yet, so don't hold me to that. But it's still a great save split. If Grand Falloon's in, you come back here. It gives you a bit of safety afterwards if you do use the split, because you're also set up to use the split for Spike Breaker, especially if you're doing Blind Bat for a bit of safety. Typically you want to go to Grand Falloon first rather than Spike Breaker, because there's a save room on this end, and that for purely just refilling your MP, especially if you're using Wolf or Bat. If you go to Spike Breaker first, you're kind of in no man's land afterwards, and you've really got to lean out your mana through this very long section of the castle. I mean, it doesn't matter as much if you don't have a transformation, but otherwise, it's a bit of a slog trying to manage your MP there. Now, this can be, if we think about the inverted castle for a moment, the Grand Falloon, or not the Grand Falloon, sorry, the Galamoth save split can be a place where you want to do a double save split. So let's just say you've just beaten death and you come down here. You can do a save split here, come out and around, and then do a safety save here by not overwriting your file, so that if you make a mistake fighting Galamoth, you load the save over here, and if you fight Galamoth and succeed and then find nothing, then you take the save split back to here. So that's at least one situation where having two saves in your game can be very beneficial, and I'm sure there are others as well. So the Beelzebub save split could be cool. So really, it's only optimal to do this if you don't have Jewel of Open, because you can't take the chapel because there's a blue door over here. So if that's the case, coming out here and saving in the reverse marble gallery, and then making this movement and then taking the save is definitely worth the 11-second investment to hedge against. Typically it's not faster if you have Jewel of Open to say, well, I really want this save split, and I'm going to go and avoid the chapel to ensure I get the split. It's just faster to go up here and then move up and around and go from there. So that's how that bad boy works. And lastly, the manly split. So this is named after, I believe, the guy who essentially made this a thing back in season 1. But this is, you're coming from the center of the second castle, and you're going to go and think about checking creature. Well, this is a long way to go, and you probably don't have a lot of mana here. Like this, the closest save is over here or over here. Like this one doesn't count because you can't. If you get into this area here, you're about to fight Dracula, right? So what this does is says, okay, I need mana, and I don't want to backtrack here if I don't have to. So let's go up here, do a save split, save up here, and even if I don't use it, well, at least I got some mana back for this section here. Or if I don't have any transformations and mana's not a problem, at least I don't have to backtrack through this area, which is really gross in the second castle because it's not a flat ground. It's got like those bowls. There's a whole bunch of Venus weeds, although they're not a threat. They do hit you, and then that's really slow. So very useful here. The the only time you want to avoid doing the manly split is if you've got Bat and a ton of mana or a mana prism. Especially because like the mana situation, you got to come out here and take this save afterwards to refill for the return trip back. It's just slow. An alternative you can do, I've seen to limited success, is the Chris split. So named after, well, at least I coined it after Chris Sagan. I don't know if he calls it that, but which is, instead of doing a save split here, go up to the top, save in this room here, which you're probably going to do anyways because you need to get the force of echo check, and that's a great place to save split anyways. And you're going to say, I'm going to check these two checks first. And if these two checks don't win me the game or have nothing, then I'll go to Grant, or then I'll go to Creature over here. And then if it's nothing, I'll save split myself up here. But it's not the greatest strategy necessarily, because if you're skipping Creature at first and someone else is right behind you and goes to Creature, they win. Although alternatively, you go up here, you've got two chances to win. But then if you're going to go back to Creature afterwards, like, someone's probably already won. Or what can work is you say, I have a big lead. I'm going to check these two first to hedge against anyone skipping Creature. And then I'll save here, go to Creature just to hedge my bets. And I think I can do that because I have a big enough lead. And then go on my merry old way, right? There's an argument to be made to say, well, you should just go over here anyways if you've got a big enough lead. But this can be quite a lengthy detour, and if you think someone's on your heels, then maybe you give it a try. But typically, I wouldn't use that strategy. I just want to share it because it's a thing, and it worked out really well for Chris in a couple of races in the last tournament we did. So let's look at two splits to avoid. And like, people do these and it's fine. Like, and they have reasons for doing it, and I might be a moron. So tomato, tomato. This is just my opinion on it. So with this merman one though, I never did this split. Unless like I was trying to avoid getting stuck at the bottom, which is a legit strategy. Like, if you're saying I want to check what's over here, but if it's nothing, then I'll be stuck in the bottom because I can't get back up the waterfall. That's totally legit, and you can definitely do it. But let's say that that's not an issue. Like, to me, it takes longer to set up the 11 seconds over here to do the save, and then split back to here, because you've got to go all the way back over here anyways to open the Donkey Kong trap and then go back over here, right? So, and I've seen this recently. There was a race with two racers where the person who did the save split was objectively ahead getting this relic. Like, they were like 5 or 6 seconds ahead at the very least. Even after baking in the 11 seconds over here, they were still ahead. But the second person, who was slightly behind them at this point, didn't use a safe split. They just found nothing and then continued on around back. They ended up ahead by several seconds. So the delta was about 10 seconds, and then probably add in another 10 because they had to actually save the game here, right? Unless they did it for some other reason. But to me, it's not worth it. In this situation, they both had bat. And to me, that's the most ideal situation to save split, because this movement here can be a bit gross, but with bat, it's not that bad. Because you don't need to worry about those frogs and stuff, right? Otherwise, this movement here, backtracking through it, isn't that bad. As long as you can get up the waterfall, I would recommend against this split. And even if you are worried about the waterfall, but you can make this jump over here, then I think like what's potentially a good play, not necessarily a better play, but another option for you, is ignore this item over here, make the jump, come back, save down here, grab at least these two checks if you're playing guarded, or just this check if you're not, and then come back up and then go over here afterwards. And you don't have to worry about the waterfall at all, because you naturally want to go over here anyways and then probably crawl your way back up. So, but that's just my opinion. The last one here is the spirit orb backtrack. So a bit of table setting here. Let's say you're going through the beginning of the game, you're coming over here, you get nothing, so you got to go through the lab, you can't grab the lab checks. You get to spirit orb check over here, and it's gravity boots. Nice. So what some players will do is they'll do a save over here, and then they'll backtrack all the way back to the lab to check both of these. Now, can this be worth it? Absolutely. If you get a movement that is, or a relic that's immediately useful for your movement or unlock something, it's fantastic. Like, great. The problem is if you find nothing, I think it's not the greatest. But the worst is if you find something that you can't use right away, like Holy Glasses, of Vlad, Spike Breaker, and you got to crawl your way back through area you've already gone through. It's not the greatest. especially because if you come back here and let's say your next move is to go to Colosseum, you've got to worry about the statue being in the way. And you could argue, well, I'd have to worry about the either way, right? But not necessarily. Most of the people who race in the evening, when they get Spirit Orb here and then make their way over to the clock room, they're going to be doing that either just before the statue opens or just after. So the time loss from the statue is minimal at best. So I think a better strategy if you get Gravity Boots here and it's your first progression relic is you could consider, well, A, you can just consider going to the library, but B, if you want to go to, or if your next move is Colosseum, just go on up to Colosseum, check this relic here, and if you don't get anything that gives you flight or a transformation, then open up the teleporter, teleport back to the entrance. So I'm opening two entrances at once here, and I'm moving through it, so I'm getting value, and then go and do these checks here. And then like there's a bit of backtracking still, but most people are gonna have to do that anyways. And I don't think it's as gross as doing this stuff and then potentially being stuck by the pillar. And then you've got a logical place to go afterwards too. Like I'm just gonna go forward. I don't need to make a decision. Like I've already done the most ideal thing. So yeah, that's a thing itself. I just realized there's a check here for some reason on my map and it shouldn't be there. My apologies. I should really fix that. The yeah, why is that there? That's absolutely bizarre. Because there's definitely nothing there. I can't believe I didn't realize that before. Anyways, so yeah, so that's what we're doing about save splits. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got opinions, please give them. The pinned comment will have any corrections or other cool things. Because maybe you've got some other ideas about where you should do save splits or where you should avoid them. The more information, the better. But until next time, I'm Dinner Dog, and we'll see you in the next one here. Eh? Cheers. We'll see you soon.